Hello, we are here from 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair Radio here at Montclair State University. My name is Danny Krastek.
And I'm Andrew Cooper. Today we are at the 13th Annual Montclair Film Festival. We'll be screening the film Conclave.
And we are here and we are going to be interviewing not just the director of the film, Edward Berger, but we are also interviewing several people that are on the board of directors here at the Montclair Film Festival, as well as people that were in the audience who got to catch the film with us. And we are here with a very, very special guest. Would you like to introduce yourself for our listening audience?
My name is Samson Rolamite.
First question for you is, with the Montclair Film Festival, being what is, you guys have been involved with it, you and your wife, for a while now. My question for you is, how do you think it's, how much of a positive impact do you think it has, not just for New Jersey, but also the New York area, and what do you think the impact of the festival is?
Well, I think the more celebration of the arts of any kind, but specifically of independent filmmaking, is always good. Especially in the wake of COVID, to celebrate coming together in the theater is, a public service. We all need to be together. We can't all just stay in our homes and stream. As much as we enjoy our Netflix and our Amazons and our Hulus or whoever might be sponsoring the festival this year, but we got to be together. You want that communal feeling, and I think that's one of the best things that a festival can do. Also brings all these different people together who haven't met each other before but know each other's work. That's a big part. I've been to a lot of festivals in my time, and that's one of the best parts, is having a moment to be with the people whose work you love and people assume you know but you don't.
Absolutely.
Mr. Colbert, you often are very vocal about your religious beliefs, and you oftentimes blend humor.
People ask me about it, I don't proselytize.
You often blend humor and faith together.
Sure.
I'm curious, how do you approach coming into a film like Conclave, the one we're about to see tonight, and other religious films?
A film with Ralph Fiennes, and Stanley Tucci, and Isabella Rossellini, and John Lithgow. I come in rubbing my hands together like I'm going to a great meal. That's how I come into it.
Yeah, very exciting, very exciting. Yeah.
Now we'll let you go.
I gotta go.
Yeah, I have one quick question for you. Did you watch Rings of Power Season 2?
I have got to go. Thank you very much.
Thank you. First of all, how did you and your husband get involved with the program?
Well, over 15 years ago, we had the idea. Bob Feinberg is a person who came up with the idea of starting the film festival, and we joined in, and we've been working at it ever since.
Yeah. Are there any, when you're looking for the films that get into the festival, what specifically are you looking for? Are you looking for like a good mix of stuff? Is there a certain kind of genre that we're looking for?
Always a good mix. I do not program. We have a wonderful programming team. Our artistic director, Tom Hall, actually makes most of the decisions, and he has a team that works with him of programmers. But we always look for a broad, diverse slate. So we have some movies that we curate ourselves. We go out and ask for them. And then we have a lot of submissions, and we look at all the submissions. Everything that is submitted gets seen at least 3 times. And sometimes we can't take everything, so that's always hard. But we do a lot of local and New Jersey films, and we have a lot of films from Montclair State kids, so we're really excited to have some local representation.
Evie, I'm curious, what drew you and your husband to storytelling in the first place? What got you involved in this?
Well, we're both arts lovers, and we both grew up in Charleston, South Carolina, where there's an arts festival there, the Spoleto Festival. It started when we were in high school and made a big difference in our lives, and so we witnessed what it's like to have a festival in a community where people come out and share experiences together. And when the idea was brought up, we thought that'd be a great thing for Montclair. We both felt that as kids it was a great experience, and now that we've been doing this 13 years, I think there are people who've sort of grown up with this kind of exposure to the arts and to storytelling, who now, maybe they're doing it professionally, maybe they're not, but it might have impacted their lives the way it did ours.
I'm curious, were there any learning curves beginning this film festival in that inception stages that you now have grown to understand now?
Yeah, well, the first thing we realized is you have to raise a lot of money. We're a nonprofit. And so we hired, the first people we hired were, the first person we hired is Meredith LaDove, who still works for us as our general manager, but then we also hired a part-time artistic director, which was fine when we were small, but we immediately realized we needed more full-time staff, and we needed a big, robust board of directors. I think the things you learn is how hard it is to be a nonprofit and how much fundraising you have to do. Very seldom do nonprofits survive on ticket sales. It's a good portion of our money and income, but we really depend on philanthropic support and sponsorships. So that's been a big lesson.
Hi, thank you for taking the time. I'm Dan.
Edward. Hey, how
Andrew,
are you?
nice to meet you.
Big fan. Your last film was the remake of All Quiet on the Western Front, which obviously it did super well. Streaming on Netflix if you're interested. It did a bunch of Academy Awards and nominations. So how did you decide to make this project after making All Quiet?
I basically thought, let's do the opposite. Let's do something completely different that I don't know how to do. But I also, especially, that movie was around. This movie I've been developing for 5-6 years, so it's been there in my life before All Quiet even. And it's just sort of these movies find you. In the end, you kind of decide, okay, that's what you flock to.
100%.
Mr. Berger, in previous interviews, you often talk about how you always try to find an emotional connection with your story. You always try to resonate with some way. I'm curious, what about this film, or maybe specific moments or characters specifically resonate with you?
There's basically what I really like. First, you have a great thriller plot, of basically who's going to be the next pope. It's an election, and everyone's going to vie for that top job that is suddenly vacant. Pope dies, you need to find a new one. And everyone sort of starts getting out the daggers to get that job. But what I really connected to is Ray Fiennes has this role of this doubtful, hesitant, reluctant dean of the Cardinals who organizes the election, and he basically goes through a crisis of his faith. He goes through a crisis of his entire job. He doesn't really know if he should be a cardinal, if he should be a monk, if he should do something else entirely. And that crisis of his interior process is a really wonderful journey that he goes on. That's what I was able to connect to very well.
100%. Well, one more quick question for you. In terms of inspirations on this film specifically, like what other films, were there any other films that inspired you in terms of tone, in terms of style?
Absolutely. Do you know the 70s conspiracy thrillers from America, Alan Pakula's movies, like Clute, All the President's Men?
Love All the President's Men.
Parallax View, 3 Days of the Condor by Sidney Pollack. Those are movies that are just basically represented the times of the 70s and that paranoia that was there. And those times have come back a little bit. And so Rafe has this feeling of being locked inside the Vatican and the walls have ears, and he's basically followed everywhere, and he thinks everyone's listening and everyone's conspiring. And I wanted to make that type of film.
Absolutely. What do you have something else? Do you want to go?
So in All Quiet on the Western Front, we saw some really intense cinematography that really captured the characters' inner struggles, and I'm curious how you used the camera and lighting and framing to really shape this specific story that takes place in the Vatican.
It's not too dissimilar, not in the way we shot it, but in the sort of in the psychological approach. That I always have that main character, and I want to capture what they feel inside their stomach, and that's where the camera goes. If you feel, let's say, lonely, you put the camera in a position that sort of supports that. If he feels stressed or paranoid, or oppressed somehow, and I put the camera slightly here above the eye line to look down on him, or if he's really listening, I put the camera in. So I basically put the camera in and around Rafe everywhere. He probably got, when everyone had one close-up, he had probably had 5, just sort of to really tell the story through his POV, to make you feel what he's feeling, to witness this, to enter the world and he's our eyes and ears into this world. And that's what I tried to capture with the camera.
When you're putting it together, festival, from your side of things, what is both the most challenging part of it and what is the most fun part of it?
Sure. So I'm on the business side of the organization, so I do sponsorships. So I work with all the really generous sponsors that help to make today happen. So the names you see on the Step and Repeat, that's all the work that I do. So I raise all the money to make sure that we can bring the best talent and have the best parties and the best conversations. So Tom would probably say he has the fun part, but I think I do. He watches all the movies. He picks what we're going to see, and I make sure that everybody has a great time while they're here.
Is there anything in particular that drew you to want to put together specifically a film festival? As we know, there's probably numerous areas that you could have gone into. A film festival, putting that together on this scale, what is that like for you?
Sure. So my first job ever was I was the head field hockey coach at Montclair State. So I have really deep ties to Montclair State. I worked there for almost 20 years, even though I'm still only 22 years old. But what drew me to Montclair Film was the community aspect and how it brings the community together, and it creates so much energy and excitement in town. And it's just a really fun night out. And now we're running the Claridge, so you can be with us all year round. We have education programs, so we're really doing a lot in the community 365 days a year.
So obviously, every year, obviously we're juniors, so every year now the Claridge has gone through. There's been some kind of renovation to something going on at the Claridge. There were the new seats like a year ago. What's next? Are there any other plans for the Claridge and for the rest of the Montclair film community that are coming up?
So the Claridge is done and operating at full speed, which we're really excited about. This is the first year that I think every renovation that we've wanted to be done is done. I think we've always got a few things up our sleeves, so you got to pay attention to what we're doing. I can't give away all our secrets on one night, right?
So part of your job is putting together the roster for the film festival, is that right? So what goes when you're putting together, what films get in? Obviously, a bunch of movies get submitted. Not all of them are going to get in. When you're figuring out what what the lineup's going to be like, what are you looking for?
Right. We do a very balanced program, so we have submissions that are, like you said, sent to us by anybody. We look at 1,000 of those, 1,000 plus, and then we go to filmmakers, distributors, producers that we know have relationships with. We say, what's coming out? What are you looking at for the fall season? Because we're in October. We start looking at dates and sort of looking at the films that are going to be available. And then we want a balanced program. So we have about 150 films in the festival. Half of them are shorts, half of them are feature, half of those are docs, half of those are fiction. And then you start getting into subcategories from there. We want films about different topics, by different women directors, things like that. So we look at these categories, we start finding the best films that we can get our hands on in those categories, and then we start slotting and putting together what's going to be in the bigger theater, the smaller theater, how are we going to organize the schedule, etc. So it's like a months-long process, starts in the spring, ends in September.
Yeah, it's definitely a long process.
So Tom, as the artistic director, you get to choose all of the films, and I understand that's probably a fantastic time for you. What is your favorite part about getting to view those films, and also what is your favorite part about the role?
Yeah, I mean, my favorite thing is actually bringing the films to an audience. When we're in the room together with a filmmaker and an audience and they're making a connection and having a real conversation about the work and treating it seriously and having artistic conversations, that for me is the highlight of the whole thing. That's why we do what we do. We want to build connection and community together. So I have a great team. I work with really wonderful programmers, and all of us are sort of on the same page on making the connection between audiences and artists.
Audio's rolling, camera roll. All right. We're on the scene of the crime. Well, that was the first night here at the 13th Annual Montclair Film Festival. The film was Conclave, and it was a great time. And we are currently going to be getting some audience reactions from the people that saw the film. So that's what you're going to be watching now. What did you think of the movie?
It was excellent, thank you.
What did you think of the movie?
It was pretty good. I actually didn't mind that.
What was your favorite part?
I honestly don't. I'm just mesmerized.
Oh, thank you. What did you think of the movie?
I loved it. I gave it an exceptional.
Terrific.
It was amazing. Loved it.
This is so fun. What was your favorite part?
I guess the end. It was just kept you on the edge of your seat the entire time.
100%. Thank you for coming. I say as if this is my movie to promote. And I'm not here for another press organization. What was your favorite part?
The fact that they didn't use the white smoke shot at the end of the film. It was a very safe, kind of like iconic thing that they didn't do, which I really appreciated.
Are you planning on going to anything else at the film festival?
Many films.
Awesome.
About 6 or 7 more, yes.
Please tell me you got that.
It was great. Loved it. Exceeded expectations.
What's your favorite part?
Oh my God, just how the whole thing unfolded. I mean, the ending. Really, the ending.
You planning on going to anything else at the film festival?
Yeah, I'm seeing something on Sunday. I'm seeing something about crazy right-wing nut jobs called Sabbath Queen. Sabbath Queen. Oh, I'll build this world from love.
What did you think of the film?
I thought the film was excellent. They did a great job. It was fantastic. Really, really interesting film. I have lots of thoughts. I don't want to share too much and give too much away for the viewers. I know it doesn't release just yet. But I had a great time. I really did. Well, that's it for us here on the red carpet event for Montclair Film Festival. I'm Andrew Cooper.
And I'm Danny Krastek. Thank you for tuning in, and we hope to see you for the rest of the festival.
Bye-bye.